Well, I'm on the farm today and I am not a happy camper. Not much breeze going. So I was busy greasing the PTO shaft on this Krone 2801, and somehow, I don't know if you can see this or not, somehow the tip of the kind of the nipple on the grease circ, which there ought to be something that looks like that on the tip of that. Anyway, it seemed to seize in my grease gun, and in my effort to kind of try to get the grease gun off, it broke. That little tip broke off, and that's not good. So maybe to give you a little better view, you know, let me get over here where it's not, the sun's not coming down so hard. But to give you a little better view, you know, that grease circ should have a little nipple coming off of it like that. Well, that broke off. I don't think it stripped out. I think it just broke off. And I managed to drop this thing in the dirt. Actually, it did strip out. It's the first time I've looked at it. I don't know, I must have dropped this thing, but you can see it's stuck in there, and it just stripped out. Probably a good thing. It just stripped out of the rest of the grease circ. And I've had a little trouble. This grease gun is new, and this grease gun is new. And I did a video back earlier in the year, and talking about different types of grease. In any event, I have found that these new grease guns, they're very tight on the grease circs on any of my equipment. You put them on, and sometimes it's a wrestling match to get them off. And I don't know, maybe I've got metric grease circs over there, and I haven't looked it up. Maybe in the comments you might give me some guidance, but surely on the globe, if there's one thing that we can have commonality on, is the tip of a grease circ. But maybe it's not that way, and I need metric versus standard tips on my grease guns. But I got a solution. So before I go any further, this right here is one of my older grease guns. I'm just using the wood pile as a workbench. The creek's down there. It's in good shape. So this has been an excellent grease gun. It's a little one. Takes the smaller cartridges. And this tip goes on and comes off every piece of equipment I've got, whether it's standard or metric. It just works great. The problem with this grease gun is it has no capacity. It doesn't take very much to pump it dry, and usually when it goes dry is when you need it the most. I like the flexible hose, and I especially like the handle. And but I like the capacity of the big grease guns. So the problem with the big grease gun is you need one hand to hold the barrel and one hand to, to pump. Whereas on this little one, you just grab it like that and start pumping away. And you can route this flexible tube and hold it with the other hand right here if you need to. But on this one, you just kind of ram that tip down on whatever it is and hold it here and pump it here. This tip, this is an older grease gun, and this tip right here fits every implement I got. It never snags like the other two newer grease guns I showed you earlier. So before I got into the snagging issue, I saw online Lube has a grease gun that holds, I think it's a 14-ounce tube of grease like this gun, but has a handle like this gun and a flexible tube, if you will. So I got online and I ordered one, and here it is. And what's nice about the Lube is it's got this fitting on here that just locks onto a grease zerk and then unlocks. And then it's got a handy dandy place to store it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little grease on my Vermeer over there and kind of show you how this works, and talk a little bit more about grease guns and what I'm going to do going forward. So my expectation with this Lube grease gun is there's so much hype on the internet about them and videos and whatnot. You know, my expectation is they're a really good grease gun. It's just the timing is coincidental that my junk grease guns, the tips let me down. And one thing I'll say, Lube has a tip that extends much longer for reaching into tighter places. And but what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pick a random grease zerk and on the Vermeer and see if I can pump some grease into it. I'm trying to remember where the random grease zerk is located. Oh, here we go. There's no rehearsal on these videos, so right there's a grease zerk, and this will be humiliating if I can't get this to work. But let me set the camera up so we can get a good look at it. Okay, so right there's the grease zerk, probably a funny angle, and just take this guy loose, snap it loose like that. The Lube, there's a swivel here, so you can basically rotate this thing around any which way you want and snap it on like that. And I'm kind of holding the grease gun and pumping right here, and I'm not going to grease this whole Vermeer rake tedder, but I am going to just show you kind of sort of how it works. And so that zerk has got grease, and I put the tip back on the Lube grease gun. So no pain. That was a pretty simple thing. And my original intent with those cheap grease guns were to take them up to the shooting range and use them for targets. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to order tips and put on them. And I might get a swivel hose, the hose with the swivel. I'm not real sure. But in any event, so we had trouble with a grease zerk. The grease gun wouldn't come off of it. I think this is the perfect solution. And I think that I've got a high quality grease gun here. So I got some other equipment to grease, and I'm gonna be giving this thing a workout. So I appreciate you watching, and be curious as your comments on getting the tip of a grease gun stuck on a grease zerk. And we'll talk to you later.